To say I'm like Donald Trump because we're related genetically would be racism. You can't put upon other people's actions on people that may look similar or anything like that. Everybody's held accountable to their own actions.
It's psychological. And to give credit where it's due, I keep hearing political reporters talk about Trump's delusions, not just lies, delusions. Google that word and you'll see lots of references to mental health or lack thereof. So what are the downstream effects of all this? Where are we heading as a country? You've probably noticed that Trump has found at least 3 ways to reach people after being banned from Twitter and Facebook. He's releasing lots of statements which are shared and read and taken seriously on far-right TV. He's giving lots of interviews for books that are coming out all the time. And he's giving lots of speeches that are carried live on Newsmax and One America News, although not Fox, by the way.
But there are rumors that some of those social media things will be recovered, like that Twitter.
OAN land, election rigging is still a daily theme. Imagine that, right? It's been months and months and months. This is still a top story on channels like OAN. And Trump is on the air this weekend saying that election rigging, fraud, what he calls the fraud, is the biggest issue among the GOP base. Listen to him call out the quote-unquote rhinos who don't get that.
A lot of the rhinos don't realize that yet. A lot of the leaders of the Republic, guys like Mitch McConnell, they have no idea how big an issue this is. This is the biggest issue with the Republican Party and the Republican voter. When I get up and speak, all they want to talk about is the election fraud, because it was the crime of the century, and people are dying, and our country's going to hell because of a rigged election, and it's a shame.
On one level, Trump is right that this is the animating issue of the GOP right now. One man's narcissism wreaking havoc with an entire political party. With me now is Carl Bernstein, the legislator.
He is the former president, so just like much like Barack Obama, he has still those presidential rights and he should be heard. He served for 4 years as the president, and he'll always be a former president. Actually, I think they still call them presidents, right? President Barack Obama, President Donald Trump, President George W. Bush, and et cetera, et cetera. So you can't take that away from him. He was the president and still is, being the former one at that.
Legendary investigative journalist and CNN political analyst. I find myself, Carl, after a week full of Trump delusion headlines, wondering where we are heading as a country. Where do you see us heading?
Well, I think we need to slow down a bit and deconstruct some of the things that you've just laid out there. The first thing is I'm not a psychiatrist, and God knows all of us may have a degree of narcissism, but when we're talking about Trump, we're obviously talking about a kind of delusional madness, such as General Milley was talking about, that is on a scale and a scope that we have never experienced in an American president in our history. I think we need to calmly.
You know, he was one of the most wealthiest of presidents to ever take office, and so that might appear as narcissistic to some people, just the sheer power of his capital. I mean, he renovated the White House somewhat with his own money. He built a vast wall. He constructed a vast wall. Okay. He was capable of things that no other president was. So of course some may call him narcissistic out of jealousy. Now I love Joe Biden and I love the way it went and everything, but I don't think he's as narcissistic as some people say or try to put out there, and I don't think he really does think that either.
Step back and maybe look at Trump in a different context. He is our own American war criminal, of a kind we've never experienced before.
You just said
he has
war. You
done
just said
and
war criminal. What do you
continues to
mean,
do-
war criminal?
I did. Well, in international law, there have been, quote, crimes against humanity. I think what we're talking about, Trump's crimes as a war, an American.
Comparing to other presidents, I mean, what war crimes did he do? I mean, I think they only got one. The only person that I can mention is that Soleimani that they eliminated. Comparative to some others, what war was he really in, or whatever? All he did was build the wall, and he made a lot of people, gave a lot of motivation for people with the "Make America Great Again." He had that great slogan with the hats, and he had a lot of great rallies, and he empowered a lot of the American people. Um, and generally, he didn't do much war at all. Not as much as he could have. He could have really stomped on some folks, and I don't think he stomped on many. And so I don't think that is true to call him a war criminal, other than that one thing which he didn't have anything to do with. That was just the American people. Was he there at that insurrection? No, he was not. All right, he wasn't there leading it, or else he would have been there leading it. That's upon the people that actually did that. And I like the tie here. Matches the new Van Heusen I got.
War criminal in his own country that he has perpetrated upon our people, including the tens of thousands of people who died because of his homicidal negligence in the pandemic, putting his own electoral interests above the health of our people as they were slaughtered in this pandemic. Looking at his actions in terms of fomenting a coup to hold on to office in which the head of the American military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has now compared Trump, not the press, not reporters comparing Trump to Hitler, but rather the head of the American military comparing him and his movement to brown shirts, to the Reichstag fire. This is a huge wake-up call to this country when General Milley, the head of the American military, has said this. And it fits as a piece with something so extraordinary in our history.
Donald appears more German, more Italian and French than he does German.
It's not political. Trump is not just political. He transcends the political, and we need to start looking at his crimes in that context.
You're going to get heat for talking about war crimes because there's, it's not as if the ICC is setting up a panel or anything, taking any action.
I want to be careful in using.
How can you take action on war crimes when there has been no war crimes? Where are the concentration camps? And we need concentration camps. But he never brought them. He should have, but he never did, and he never even mentioned the concentration camps. That's me who wants concentration camps. Okay? Thomas Perrin Sloat believes that there should be concentration camps reenacted to deal with some of these problems that need to be eradicated. And I talk about that in my other videos, how it wouldn't be a bad thing for some of our worst of worst cases that we have at a large level. Okay, but that wasn't Donald. Okay? Donald was a very generous president. When he was in hospital, he left the hospital and had pizzas delivered to people and chocolates, and he was treated unfairly at that by Twitter, and the other ones didn't treat him. Let's not say he was banned from all social media, because that's not the case, really. YouTube didn't treat him like that. like has been put out there. Facebook didn't treat him like that. It's still up. They just, we're like, okay, it's time to kind of relax, Donald. You can, transition him off, and then they kept all this stuff. It was Twitter that really demolished him unfairly. They're the war criminals. They started this thing by deleting all his Twitter tweets and all that, and media and things that, I mean, anybody would be mad about spending 4 years on Twitter and then or longer actually, and that to have your whole account wiped. All that blood, all the blood, sweat, and tears it took to do that writing. That was his thing. It was like that was his memoir as the president, and then they delete his entire memoir. He planned. There was plans with that. Okay, he trusted that platform. We thought it was we thought it was the best thing compared. Like most people would write it down in a book, but there was so much trust in that Twitter platform that they were going to keep it secure, that it was the new thing, right? It was the electronic thing, right? It's in the hand. It's got the most secure servers. Everybody can see it right away. It's video and pictures and the whole nine. All right, that's the war crime. How they're abusing him. Imagine how much money that must have costed to do all that gold trimming and things in the White House with the gold blinds and whatnot and all that, and the new carpets and it's unbelievable. That constitutes robbery or fraud. That's frauding the Trump organization or whatever. To try to do his name like that, to defamate his name as the president, former president, after he invested so much into it, into the country and all that. All right, so I don't know what to say, but I don't believe he's any type of war criminal.
And trying to say we need a new context, a war against both our people in terms of what the effects of his policies and selfishness, if you want to use the word narcissism, brought. Okay, it is something in itself that we have never seen in a president before. It's not about just impeachable offenses. It's about a different kind of crime in which the humanity of the people of the United States was relegated to the floor by the President of the United States, who uplifted only his own narrow political, financial, and personal interest above that of our people, of our country, of our Constitution. All I'm doing is saying, whoa, let's look at Trump's crimes in a different context. Yes, war crimes. These were crimes against our people.
Let's go a little bit deeper, Carl, as you stay with me. Let me bring in Ruth Ben-Ghiat.
What about the riots? It's been going on since the Rodney King riots and things. Okay? We let it get out of hand. Since Martin Luther King, it's been getting out of hand. Okay? You don't see it from my perspective. I'm in Canada, and I see it from I look down upon it, and I can see it from afar, and it's gotten way out of control with all that. And we'll keep it at that, and we'll see what the next person has to say. Southampton, I live by there, but not New York.
She is the author of a book called Strong Man. She's also a professor of history at New York University, specializing in threats to democracy. But Ruth, that title, Strong Man, Mussolini to the present, clearly you believe Trump is one of those strong men. Tell me how narcissism factors into this, and how what Carl is saying factors in to what you study every day, Ruth.
So the frame, we do need a different frame to look at Trump, and that frame I've always thought is authoritarianism and strongman rule. And Trump was only one of many strongmen who either had criminal records, they are criminals. Hitler and Mussolini had criminal records, and Trump, like Putin and Berlusconi in Italy, was under investigation when he came into office. So governance is not about public welfare or any of normal presidential goals. It's about keeping immunity and amassing as much power as possible. And so Trump is highly unstable, deeply destructive, but he's also crazy like a fox. And he has the same personality traits as many of these leaders I've studied: massive ego, megalomania, only I can fix it, all of this. But it covers up a deep insecurity. So they become obsessed with humiliating and controlling and dominating everyone around them. And what better domination game than to make millions of people believe in an alternate reality that benefits you by depicting you as infallible, I am your voice, and keeping
You know, to speak of the word infallible, Donald is infallible at business, and his track record shows that. So, yeah, he is quite aggressive when it comes to business, but I think he hasn't been very aggressive at all. He could do a lot more. I don't know what else to say. He hasn't been over gluttonously in the media as much as he could, I guess. I mean, he could have went and bought a couple cameras and started another YouTube channel and went off about it, but no, he's still, he's sort of humbly seen. All right. You get what I mean. But maybe at the time it's what America needed, and now America, the general public or whatever, is fairly content with the things that they've gotten in their lives. And there is no longer any need for the aggression. But at the same time, we can't be taken over. All right, and you've heard that before too. But that's why Donald, I don't want to see him go to jail or prison. He's good. He's good where he is. We do need him just in case. Just like we have Obama and we got George W. and everybody else and Clinton and everything. I wouldn't want to see him ran into the ground with that American war criminal title and then see him go to prison, because I know he's got a pending case. So he's in Mar-a-Lago or wherever, many of his various properties, and he's an American citizen. And he offers great positivity to America. You could say that your infatuation is aggressive of Donald.
you, ideally keeping you in office.
You're saying something really interesting about the big lie. The big lie is a power trip. It's a power move. Every time he tells his fans to believe the election was stolen from him, he's gaining power because they're all believing that lie together, right? Or saying they do.
Yes, it's the ultimate power trip. And the other thing he did, and I was just, every step of the way, he was just confirming. This is why I wrote the book. The Trump White House was very similar to the governance structures of many authoritarians. They create these inner sanctums surrounded by sycophants and flatterers and family. There's usually family in there. And these people will not push back. They will not tell him the truth. They will keep his secrets. They will repeat his lies in public. And he did the same to the GOP and the civil service. And once that happens over time, Trump wasn't there very long, but they can begin to believe their own propaganda. And that's where the delusional can come in.
So then I come around and we're back to Carl on where are we going? Last night in Arizona, Trump said, quote, "In my opinion, there's no way they win elections without cheating." In other words, he's saying no Democrat can ever hold office without cheating. These are the crazy lies that he's spreading every night. And I know we're not airing them on CNN or MSNBC or ABC, but they're being heard by millions of people. So Carl, where are we going?
I think what we have to realize is that this movement and this madman, this authoritarian demagogue, has been embraced by one of the two political parties. They are enthralled to him. The Republican Party of McConnell and of McCarthy are enthralled to Donald Trump and this movement to disenfranchise the American voter who may vote as a Democrat. This is an authoritarian, demagogic movement that now is represented in one of our political parties and its leadership to the top. We need to start looking at our country, as journalists especially, to see how did this happen here. We need to take the focus off Trump and his psychology and all the rest and look at his movement and how it has seized tens and scores of millions of American voters who have embraced his lies and his pathology and these war crimes.
The downstream effects of the delusions. Carl and Ruth, thank you both.
And these war
I got questioned, why am I not on webcam for this one? Well, I have the appropriate attire, but I will have to order another outfit. I have my one outfit, that being the Van Heusen. You'll see it soon. Sort of this color. It matches this tie actually, but I didn't even know I was going to do this voiceover. I was just hopping on to upload a cooking video, or this argument or whatever, and that's the only suit that I have right now. And now those are $80 dress pants, and then the shirt and everything, and I just there's no point. But because I'm not on the official CNN live like they were, this is just pre-recorded, and I'm relaying it after. But so I'm just wearing some normal sort of just some shorts and a t-shirt until the other ones arrive, because I have some plans with the more formal outfitting. So I didn't turn the webcam on, just did the voice and whatnot, but they look great. Okay, they stole the show for sure. I mean, I love this guy's outfit here with the entire get up. Same with him and her. They all look good.